What's that? Even more brutal and devastating ultimate superheroes, you say? We got you. Welcome back, Nerd Squad. We have talked about some of the most powerful and most long-lasting ultimate superheroes on part 1 and part 2 of this list, and we are back with even more as we count down the top 10 most powerful ultimate Marvel superheroes. Part 3. If you missed out on parts 1 and parts 2, be sure to check them out as well. Alright, now let's get counting. Number 10, Charles Xavier. Professor X did die in this reality, but before that, he was a gifted telepath. The manifestation of his powers in the Ultimates reality is actually believed to have caused his hair loss. That's right, his powers are so powerful, they caused him to go bald. I love it. Charles became good friends with Eric in this reality, and the two would band together as partners to create the Brotherhood of Mutants. However, the two split ways after Magneto started to see humans as inferior to mutants, believing that mutant kind should actually rule the world. And in case you didn't know, that's what leads to Professor X's death. Number 9, Captain Britain. Captain Britain was the brother of the original one to hold that mantle, Brian Braddock. James Braddock Jr., Brian's brother, took up the mantle of Captain Britain after his brother ended up in a coma. He is considered to be slightly stronger than the original and would go on to try and help Thor fight against the Children of Tomorrow. Captain Britain was one of the few to survive that battle. He'd also end up later on serving on the Ultimates team. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and you want more lists like it where we explore alternate realities, be sure to show us by giving this video a thumbs up. Number 8, Daredevil. Matt has a story that is similar to his origins in 616, but is also unique in how much more personal his connections are to, well, pretty much everyone around him, and how much enemies and allies influenced his choices to become a hero and defined what being a hero means to him. Matt Murdock, like his 616 counterpart, was also blinded at a young age, but found his other senses enhanced. His father also died after refusing to cooperate in a fixed boxing match. However, in this reality, Kingpin was directly responsible for his father's murder. Like in the reality of 616, Daredevil's experience, training, and enhanced senses make him a gifted fighter. Number 7, Spider-Woman. In this reality, Jessica Drew has a completely different backstory. She is actually the clone of Peter Parker, made to be an exact copy of him, but female. As such, she has all of his memories. Initially, she was intended to be used as a government weapon, repurposed and trained as an agent, but she and the other Spider clones they made escaped. Jessica would go on to keep her memories, but separate herself from them and Peter, taking her own name and carving out her own life for herself, though still acting as a hero. At one point in time, she was a member of the Ultimates, much like how Jessica Drew of Earth 616 is a well-known member of the Avengers. Number 6, the Wasp. When it comes to Janet Van Dyne, you might just think of her untimely and gruesome end in Ultimates, eaten by the Blob as she was, but there is a lot more to her character than just that very graphic death. Janet was also for a time the leader of the Ultimates after they decided to split off from S.H.I.E.L.D. She was chosen as leader because she was considered one of the most experienced members. Many underestimated her because her abilities were about her shrinking as opposed to growing to ginormous sizes, which made enemies consider her weak and insignificant, but she would prove to them just how powerful she was. Her untimely end did not really seem deserved, and fortunately it was undone when the Maker resurrected the alternate world over 1610. Number 5, Cyclops. If you thought Magneto was OP in this universe, Cyclops was technically the one to put an end to him. Here, Scott Summers was the one responsible for using his optic blast to completely destroy Magneto after he himself had killed billions, including the person who had brought the X-Men together, Professor X. Cyclops in the comics was also for a time a member of Magneto's Brotherhood. In this reality, Magneto even considered him as a potential heir when it came to a leadership role. However, Scott would eventually betray Magneto after he learned of his plans to attack and destroy Washington, D.C. using reprogrammed Sentinels. Number 4, Jimmy Hudson. In the ultimate reality, Jimmy Hudson is the son of Wolverine and Magneto's wife, Magda. Jimmy would only learn upon his powers first manifesting that Wolverine was his dad. In a message left for him, Wolverine would specifically stress that Jimmy not really focus on who his real mother was or on his past, but continue to move forward and to respect the Hudsons as his parents who had taken him in and raised him on Wolverine's behalf. His powers are similar to Wolverine. He has a regenerative healing factor and bone claws. Jimmy can also coat his claws at will with a metallic substance. Jimmy has bonded with one of the symbiotic aliens known as the Poisons, but seems to maintain control of himself even while bonded with the Poison. So he's basically got like a little symbiote alien pal, but not a symbiote like how Venom's a symbiote, not from Clinter. Number 3, Machine Man. Danny Ketch was originally a spy and operative that was recruited to be a part of Nick Fury's Howling Commandos after the dissolution of the Ultimates. He would end up facing the global threat of the Galactus Swarm and MODOK in the Maker's City of Tomorrow. Danny would sacrifice himself to merge with the Swarm in order to free the captives of the city. Once merged, he then also prevented MODOK from escaping and blew up the city in order to defeat the enemy. It turned out, however, that Danny had survived, with his consciousness being transferred to nanite technology that reappeared following this explosion. Aided by Agent Phil Coulson, the nanites were used to recreate a version of Danny Ketch, who was then dubbed the Machine Man. Number 2, Storm. Storm was invited to join the X-Men team by Jean Grey, who managed to save her from the police who were attempting to apprehend her because she had stolen a car. Initially, Storm had attempted to ditch Jean, thinking that she was working for Magneto, but when she learned of Professor X and his more noble mutant cause, she agreed to join. Her powers were more unpredictable and hard for Storm to control initially, with her not necessarily being established as one who had been worshipped as a goddess. However, over time training alongside the X-Men with Professor X, she would become a formidable fighter, hero, and X-Men member. Also, pretty much in every reality, Storm is just super OP. Number 1, Jean Grey. Just like in the main continuity of Earth 616, Jean is considered one of the most powerful characters around. Here, however, at least she has some pretty big problems to wrestle with on top of all of her power. When her powers first manifested, others thought that she was insane, which meant that Professor X ended up meeting with her and recruiting her from a mental institution. Initially, Jean also wasn't even sure if the Phoenix Force was real or not. Was it some intergalactic god, some manifestation of her own powers which were growing and expanding, or a demon seeking to destroy the planet? Her mental health has always been the counterpoint to her power, as Jean questions her own sanity in the Ultimate Universe, and yet she still wields godlike power. A deadly combination, but of course, Jean does her best to wield it wisely. Who are some of your favorite Ultimate superheroes? Would you like to see stories of characters from this reality return to? Which Marvel alternate reality do you think is the darkest? Let us know in the comments below. And speaking of comments, it is time to turn to some comments from one of our latest videos, Top 10 Most Powerful Ultimate Marvel Superheroes, Part 2. Part 2 to this list. Sunstar comments, enhanced vision is a pretty cool attribute for Hawkeye. If I were his writer, I'd do an arc giving him a mystical bow like Dungeons & Dragons. That'd be pretty cool. It'd be pretty cool to see Hawkeye fight with mystical artifacts. Enigma Alpha 666 responds, I love how you can tell by the way that you explain comics that you truly enjoy reading them. Thank you very much. I love reading. I have always loved reading. I still love reading today. Books, comic books, anything. I love to read fan fiction. I'll read it all. I wanted to show you folks actually some of the stuff that I am reading right now because yeah, I just started reading Dream Daddy. Don't mind my receipt bookmark, but it's really fun. It's really great. You can not only date dads in the game, but you can also read about all the dream dads. Dream Daddy the comic. And I'm also catching up on my Hellions right now. Don't mind the glare from my lights, but yeah, it's getting crazy right now in Hellions. Oh my goodness. So I have one more issue to go, I think, till I'm caught up, or maybe a couple. I'm a little behind. Gotta get caught up for that Hellfire Gala though, friends. Gotta get caught up. Fooly75 agrees, Blue Marvel's a beast. I love that character. I also love that character, and I'm glad that everyone loved that I put Blue Marvel on that list because I was really nervous about putting him on my list at number 1, but I'm glad everybody also loves it like I love it. Yay! And that's all the time we have for comments today. Be sure to comment below for a chance to have your thoughts and feels shouted out in a future video. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I am your host, Amanda McKnight, saying thank you so much for watching, and reminding you, as always, to stay nerdy, YouTube.